So they invited me to this Korea film show. I had no idea what it was. I thought it was some kind of a domestic festival or something. And I got the visa through the Beijing embassy then, because it's summer I stayed in Japan. And went there and was kind of surprised when they told me, the Korea film show, that's just for you. So it turned out to be just a screening series at their screening room. They had this kind of small movie theater at the compound of the film export company in Pyongyang. It was me and a guy from Switzerland. And the guy from Switzerland, he didn't know why he was there. It was like he had been to Pyongyang 2 times before at the International Film Festival and at the April Culture Festival, and suddenly he got a letter inviting him to this show. And apparently there was some kind of power struggle among some officials at this export company. So the one official invited me, and the other one had to counterweight and get up with the other guy. But this other guy, this Swiss guy, he got in big troubles then, because in North Korea you're not supposed to walk out of the hotel on your own and just check out the city. I just escaped from the hotel many times and walked around. But I was always making sure that I would be back at the right time. But the Swiss guy, he was always like missing for hours. So they got very angry at him and accused him of being a spy. And then he filmed everything on the pretty big video camera. So in the end, they watched all his footage on the little viewfinder, because they didn't have the high 8 VCRs, and he was shooting on high 8. So, but they could watch it on the viewfinder. So it was like these North Korean officials, together with this Swiss guy, were looking for hours at these small images of him just filming the streets. He was not this spy. But he did eventually publish a photo book in 2003. And that was why his whole motivation of going to North Korea. But of course he couldn't tell them. So in a way they were right in their suspicions that he would do something with all this material he shot there. But at the time he was always saying, it's just tourist footage. And then after that, of course, I did the tour with the North Korean films. It started in January 2000 at the Gothenburg Film Festival in Sweden, and then took it to Udine in Italy, to the Far East Film Festival, and then to a couple movie theaters across Germany. And after that, the movies went back to North Korea, and this official came back from North Korea, came back to Berlin, and I met him there, and he invited me to come to the official film festival in 2000. And he asked me to put together a delegation of people. I could just invite anyone. So I asked, can I get some American into my delegations? And he said, yeah, for the film festival, it's no problem, anyone. So I said, can I get Japanese? And he said, yeah, anyone. But it was like most of the people I asked to join in and go to the film festival in North Korea. It's like, okay, we had to pay the flight, but otherwise it was all paid for by the North Koreans. Most people just said never. It was a delegation of like 6 Germans. All these other people just, not this place. But it was a fun visit, and of course, it's usually very difficult and very expensive to go there. But this way it was like very easy and for free, basically. Pyongyang, it doesn't feel like Asia at all there. It feels like kind of Eastern Bloc in the early 60s or something. It's just like totally out of time. Feels definitely not like late 90s, early 2000s there. It just felt like it was all people, many people in uniform, carrying red flags around, or all kind of flags, or marching in groups, and doing rehearsals for kind of mass gymnastics displays. And the town, it has all this kind of weird sports stadiums and big monuments. So it is like full of monuments, and of course the statues of Kim Jong-il and Kim Il-sung. So it's a very showcase city, but otherwise the place where people live, it's just like Eastern European style kind of housing blocks, pretty boring, ugly living quarters it looked like. And of course they hadn't much electricity, so at night it was usually kind of total blackouts. Only some monuments were lit. The rest was, everything was dark. no street lights, hardly any lights in the windows. Cars driving around without lights. I don't know why that was, but it was. The only people you meet are kind of officials. And it's always some kind of official situation, or it is your minder. With the minders, it was possible to talk a little more on private stuff, but also they had to be very careful what they said, so it was not that you could become friends with them or something. It was always this kind of very diplomatic situation. In a way, like every North Korean movie is a war movie. It's like they always have the heroic deeds to fulfill, whatever genre it is. It's always very kind of heroic, nationalistic war movie type. So they don't have too many genres. They have, of course, kind of martial arts movies that deal with the past, like defending the country against Japanese invaders or evil ninjas or something like that. Like Hong Kil-dong was a great movie on that one. And also, of course, there was Pulgasari, the North Korean monster movie. Kim Jong-il, the current leader, he used to be a director of the film studios in the propaganda ministry in the 1960s and 70s. So he was doing a lot of big film productions. And he somehow also loved the monster movies. And it was done in collaboration between the North Korean film studio and Toei in Japan. So they got the real suitmation actor who had played in a whole lot of Godzilla movies, the Godzilla, the man who was inside Godzilla, Kenpachiro Satsuma. He was also then playing in the North Korean film Inside the Monster. And they had all kind of special effects guys doing about 15 special effects people going from Tokyo to North Korea and staying there for 2 months and working on the movie. Aside from that, films dealing with the past, yeah, there's this other very important kind of genre. It started with the very first North Korean movie, My Home Village, made in 1949. It's a bit like a kind of reworking of recent Korean history, what they do in a lot of movies. And in the 1960s, 70s, they kind of also had to come up with the so-called modern film, what they call the modern film, just dealing with current problems. In these movies, it's like peacetime, heroic things have to be done all the time. But at the same time, of course, these movies reveal a lot of the problems they have there, because they have to show some problems and then try cinematic ways of how to solve them. My favorite scene of any North Korean movies ever is like at the end of that movie called Forever in Our Memory. It's like there is like a big flood coming in from the ocean, and they have this kind of dam, and behind the dam were the paddy fields they had worked on all the time. So how do they keep the flood out? It's like a couple thousand extras, all in army uniforms or dressed up as farmers, stand on top of this dam and keep the water away with their bodies, all the way shouting, "Long live Kim Il-sung." So then, of course, the water retreats, and the paddies are saved. That's the kind of heroic stuff they do there. It's like I can't imagine anyone in North Korea believes that kind of nonsense. Of course, when I showed the movies in the West, it was just people just started laughing all over. Or they were shocked and said, that's what they tell their people. What a horrible system they got there.
어명을 받들었노라. 상감께 장계를 올리고 추적패 놈들을 치자.